Let's do this, hopefully. What's up, Ariel? Where am I? I know where I'm at. Give me a second. What a handsome gentleman. I'm back, baby. Can everyone see me? Oh, gifting memberships. You guys are the best. Who gifted those? My goodness. Toucan Sam X. Dear God, thank you so much. What a gentleman. Thank you so much. Hope everyone's back, rejoining. Thank you all so much. So, I planned on doing that at least once, refreshing the stream. I think it helps with the algorithm, but I have an ulterior motive as well. Listen, I love John Ward and those guys. I really do. I think John is one of the most deceptively intelligent and intuitive people I've ever met. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I think he's hilarious. And the team that he's assembling there, particularly of young people, I think it's impressive, man. And I love watching them do what they do. Can't wait to work with them. I really can't. They're building a studio. Like I said, it's a bit of a hike for me, but it's not that bad. Maybe 3 hours. So it's definitely doable on a weekend. And I'm sure they'll put me up somewhere, too, for the night. Fantastic. But, for terms of service reasons, can't drop the hard F. So, I had to refresh and put those videos on private so no one can see them. So we'll get that edited out and we'll get that live stream back on with those words beeped out. But I understand I have to sadly abide by terms of service. I don't think they mean anything offensive. Well, offensive is all in the eye of the beholder. I don't think they're hateful people or anything of that nature. But terms of service is terms of service. So YouTube has a 12-hour limit. There you go. I was going to have to do it anyway. So we'll probably have to reset one other time. But I love John and them. Anything they ever need from me, be happy to do it. I think his heart's in the exact right place. These guys are the best. So, we refresh the stream. Carlos isn't here now. It's all me, baby. Running this. So, I'm what? Getting on 10 hours in? Oh, yeah, I got some people. All right. One second. Some potential guests lined up here. But yeah, those guys are good guys. Thank you so much, Toucan Sam X. I really appreciate it. Reminder, we are trying to raise $500 tonight for the Support Rob's Broke Ass to put money into the channel foundation. So all financial donations, incredibly appreciated. Also, we're going to put a poll up here once we get to about 6 or 7 o'clock. The goal is to get 200 people that will confirm that they are going to vote for Donald Trump, and hopefully also get them to have a pledge that they will be willing to also go out there and try to encourage at least one other person to do the same. So if we do our little part here, I think every vote matters. If you've already voted for Trump, cool. The point is just to get 200 people that are watching on this channel to be able to do that. Unfortunately, with the refreshing of the stream, we went from 100 odd people watching on YouTube to only 57, but that's okay. We'll build that audience back up. Guests I have lined up. So we're talking about getting Drone Tech Politics, Artcraft Sparky. Then we got later tonight, we got Scott Mecker, my congressman, Glenn Thompson. Doug McClinko still may call in. Jason Fitzgerald, great guy out of Lycoming County that I think you guys really like. We got Jeb Tan Politics, I think, is going to call in at some time. Then we have Andrew Wilson that's going to be calling in at 10 p.m. Aircraft Sparky, I think, is going to do some time late into the evening in the a.m. hours. So we got a lot of good guests continue to be lined up. And then I've proffered invitations to some other people as well. We'll see if any of them decide that they want to jump in at any time. So Oh, Aftershock heading to vote now. Great, 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 great. Awesome news. Get out there and vote. So, yeah, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for sticking with me so far. So we're going to make it till 8 a.m. tomorrow. It's going to be good. Yeah, Andrew Wilson, he's going to be calling in at, let me get the exact time for you. $11 p.m. 11 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have the great Andrew Wilson from The Crucible that'll be calling in. Great guy. So that's going to be pumped. Now, I hope, listen, this kind of content's different. I hope that it comes through. Yeah, we did talk about the closing the voting booths earlier. We talked about that to some degree. I hope that people appreciate I'm trying to wear a different hat when I'm interviewing people. Interviewing someone like John Ward's more of a discussion amongst contemporaries. Interviewing someone like Congressman Dan Muser, Representative Flick, Ambassador Carla Sands, sort of a different process. So I hope people get an appreciation for, I think I'm a pretty good interviewer as well. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but you have to understand it raises the legitimacy of the channel. And it is something that I was talking to John about that. The sort of conflating new world media with old world media with sort of old world politics, I think is something that's very important. And I think it's something that Trump has organically done. He has taken someone who is an entertainer and a businessman into the world of politics. And now you could see with the righteous anchor at the old forms of legacy media, how things like going on a show like Joe Rogan's or Theo Von's show actually has more of an impact. I think that sort of idea is an idea that I had when I first started streaming, particularly when I started the radio show with Carlos and with my friend Todd Bartlett. The idea of taking that old form of conservative media of radio and then merging that with sort of new audiences that you see on platforms like YouTube and other places like that. That to me, those different skill sets that those type of people bring, merging that together in one sort of kind of media content, I think is a brilliant idea. I think John's at the cusp of that. And I also think that that's something that I really am interested in doing. So I want to be a channel that I could have Andrew Wilson on here and we could be making fun of shit lefties, and I could have John Ward on and be doing the same. And the next second, we're talking to Ambassador Carlos Sands, we're talking to representatives, we're talking to senators, and I want to be that sort of channel, not just for myself, but I think that is where media is transitioning. We have more legitimacy on a channel like this because even though I might not wear the stuffy suit and be well dressed and have the fancy studio, what I do have is that I'm authentic. Compare that to like 60 Minutes. I'm going to give people a fair shake and tell them exactly what I think. That's what Joe Rogan does. That's what Theo Von does. It allows sort of stories to be told in a way that the average people finds entertaining and consumable without the biased spin that you see being put on for a political agenda from our legacy media. Sparky says, check your phone. Okay. One second. One second. I assume that's not what Sparky meant. Oh, shit, Sparky. Yeah, Sparky, do you want to do midnight? Can you do that? One thing I am running in is a problem with double booking, so I apologize for that. Sparky, shit, man, if you want to come on now, if you hear me, feel free. We'll jump you on. So we get several options we talk about. We take audience questions. We could take audience call-ins. We could get some guests in here, whatever people like. But yeah, that's ultimately the idea, and I think John and them's doing a tremendous job. By the way, like, screw the TOS that you can't say slurs and stuff like that aren't that offensive whatsoever. It's just people clutching their pearls. I think it's shit. I understand that I have to abide by those TOS, but I messaged John. I don't want John or the guys he's with, Michael or Jack, I don't want them to like be sorry whatsoever. Like they're just being organic, regular dudes, and I think that that's the best that we could ask for. People being authentic to themselves. So not offensive to me whatsoever. I don't give a shit. And I have no problem with one of the things I argue with my audience about. I don't have a problem with things like gay marriage at all. So I don't find it disparaging or anything of that nature. But still got to try to abide by the terms of service. So no big deal at all. John Ward. Man, thank you so much for the $50. Says sorry with a hard F word. John, I was just talking about it. No skin off my back whatsoever. Like I said, I had to refresh the stream anyways. Simply a matter of putting the video to private, edit it out, easy peasy, no big deal at all. So, no, don't even sweat it for a second, man. I'm incredibly appreciative of everything you're doing and for coming on the show today. So, don't feel it at all, man. No problem. So, yeah, Sparky, what do you want to call in? We can do Discord, probably the easiest thing. Now, I'm going to leave my Zoom open just in case. I'll explain to Sparky here when he gets on why I'm using Zoom. Yeah, do you got my Discord channel? We could just hop on my channel if you want, Sparky. And then, but yeah, don't feel bad about it at all, John. Yeah, no problem at all. I can't wait to come to the studio, John. Like I was saying, I'm sure that I'll find a place to crash when I get there, but I'll make the trip down there someday. We'll do a show. I'll either get a hotel or spend the night somewhere. I think it'll be a blast. I can't wait, man. Damien for the $2 super chat says, we are Peanut. How about that story? We'll talk about Peanut. That's a late night story. Peanut? Bastards killing that dude's squirrel and raccoon. All joking aside, with that story, this isn't a joke at all. Like I've known people that have pets. You know, I myself have guinea pigs. I have dogs. You know, I know people that live on farm, pet goats, pet pigs. It's no joke when you kill someone's pet like that. I don't care if it's a squirrel, if it's a rat, if it's a mouse, if it's your pet. To see the government come in like that and just, you know, the shitbag authoritarian bureaucracy. For those who don't know, like, believe it was a gentleman in New York. They took his pet squirrel and raccoon and they euthanized both of them. If that's not the government in the nutshell, oh, we're coming in to save these poor animals, now kill them. And Trump put out a statement hilariously on this very issue. So, let's bring on this gentleman. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to bring you. Let me get set up here. Are you going to use your camera there or no, Sparky? You don't have to.
Yeah. Just let me get a moment to turn it on.
Oh, okay.
No, man, we are good, man. We are good.
So wait. It doesn't do you any justice to just talk about you. They have to see you. So give me 1 second. There he is. Look at that sharp dressed man wearing his.
Oh man, it's game day, baby. It's game day.
Nice. I like it. I like it a lot. So let me get me up here as well. There we are. Now, the great Aircraft Sparky, one of my absolute favorite people to watch and to stream with. He's kind of like me if I was more likable. That's how I
oh, please. You've definitely got way more charisma than myself. I just say the things that everyone else is scared to because I don't care if YouTube kicks me off at this point. But that's only because I'm retiring from politics after this election.
Well, really? We'll have to talk about that. Now, there we go. Your video was slightly lagging behind your audio. But I think it's better now.
There we go. Hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great. It's great to have you here. Thanks so much. I know one of the things that's great. So this is what an awesome dude Sparky is. Sparky is perpetually that guy. If you ever need something in reserve, Sparky 99 out of 100 times there for me. So it's like, Sparky, I'm supposed to do this debate in Modern Day Debate. They say they have me a partner, but they haven't confirmed. If they do confirm, I obviously have to go with that person. But if I need a backup, Sparky's like, absolutely, man. Which sucks because then you're sitting there not knowing if you're going to debate or not. Because at the last minute, if they say, yeah, this other dude showed up, then that's who they sent the invite to. And even today, Sparky let me know that there were huge slots of time that he would be available if we had guests not show up or if we had free time to call in. So, I mean, I appreciate that a lot. It's not the easiest thing to do, and it really shows, you're a really awesome guy. You really do always come through for me.
Look, don't praise me for not having a life, okay? That's really all you're doing.
Oh, shit, I'm going to spit up this. Thank God Sparky's a boring sack of shit with nothing going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, okay, so I have made a decision that after the election season, after after the next president is inaugurated, Donald Trump, by the way, I'm giving up political streaming. Politics weighs heavy, and I've been doing this now for 8 years, and well, I haven't grown that much. I didn't do it for the subscriber count or the money or anything, but over the years, it's diminishing returns. It weighs heavy.
Dude, I saw Mike Cernovich say this the other day, which isn't everyone's cup of tea, but he said something that really resonated with me. He was like, you have to keep working until you're sick of yourself. And that's exactly how I feel. I kind of like this election's going to be such a huge pressure release valve, and not just like finally we'll win. I hope we win. I still think Kamala will win because the institutional advantages are such. Nonetheless, it's not necessarily when I'm talking about winning or losing. It's that you put this pressure on yourself, and it really is. It starts to feel like this huge. It's like almost like you got a big deadline at work or something, and like it doesn't mean you hate your job. That's not what I'm saying. But it is. It just slowly builds and slowly builds. And like for me, I think that I'm genuinely a very likable person. Even people that don't agree with me, that know me in real life, that don't agree with my politics, they think I'm a pretty likable person. I could show you right now probably 50 to 100 messages that I've had publicly and privately in just the past 3 days. That's just calling me every name in the book, insulting me, insulting my family, and it's like, yeah, I don't leave it get to me on this sort of macro level. It doesn't. But it just shows the intensity that certain people have of this. And at some point, I would love to be sitting here doing a stream with you, talking about our favorite 80s horror movie or, you know what I mean? Like it just looser stuff that the stakes aren't so high. So I totally get the idea, like, getting into this world. Plus, you're dealing with all these other things, right? Like, you try to actually put energy into a project like you do or like we do with our channel, only to be constantly throttled by places like YouTube, only to, like, constantly be demonetized, community strikes. And so there does come a point where you just like, my goodness, is it worth, like, pressing on with this?
Well, so I'm not going to be doing political streaming. I'm not going to be doing political content. I'm going to be switching over to music. So I'm going to be doing cultural work, but I'm going to be doing it with a political spin because I do love politics. I'm just sick of the debate panels with a bunch of mentally disabled individuals screaming at each other.
Did you do it last night?
Yes. And I
was it
last straw.
Was it that bad?
It was horrible.
Who won? Who was the winner?
Corn, actual Jake.
Oh, the guy dresses like Corn won?
Yeah. So, and look, I don't expect any right side guy to win on the hippy dippy, especially when you're polling the audience, which when I was talking to Danabo about it, I told him it was a mistake, because one, the audience, especially their audience, just, they got rid of Cam Higbee. Like, the first person they got rid of was Cam Higbee, which they were like, oh, well, he's a competent debater. No, he's got to go.
Yeah, the whole platform, and you heard me talking to Danabo about this the other night. We were on a brief call. Now, I feel like I screwed Danabo over, but here's the deal, right? Like, you said that he messaged me. I never got the message. Then I messaged him back like 20 minutes after I was off that call with him, and I was like, yeah, I could do it. And I didn't hear anything the rest of the week. So coming that day, like, I was just like, hey, man, I never heard back from you. So my wife's dad's having a birthday party. I decided to go to it. And then as soon as I, like, leave for the birthday party, he messaged me. He's like, oh, shit, we were counting on you. And I feel bad. I wasn't trying to screw him over. I really wasn't. But I didn't hear anything back. So I thought they went in a different direction.
So it's a little like backstage knowledge, things that y'all might not know. Anytime you book a conservative, you can almost bet on them to not only be on time, but to be early. If they tell you something, word is bond. Loaderbox was scheduled to go on that hippy dippy, and he decided to, I don't know, go make falafels or something. He wasn't going to do the show. So he decided against it. So they had to pull in, he was there for 5 minutes. So it doesn't matter. That's exactly how amazing it was. But no, it was just, I was just sitting there half the time just going, hey, can I do, because I'm not going to turn my gain up to blow everyone out. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah, it gets those panels especially. It's the worst of the worst. It just feels like, I don't know, like, even anymore. I I try to talk to anyone. I really do. I don't care about the size of their channel or anything like that, but I purposely try to go out of my way to talk to who people think the best the other side has to offer, to hopefully have a serious discussion.
I am going to tell you, Crenshaw. What is his name?
Dan Crenshaw?
No, they had a lefty on. He's from the Virgin Islands, very skilled. He's talented. He's in the. You need to look him up.
Does he want to debate?
You want to debate him?
Yeah.
It's not often that I I don't tell you. I don't really throw people your way. Rashad Crenshaw.
Sounds familiar. I don't know if I've talked to him before.
He usually has a Virgin Islands flag in the background. Young African American man, good guy. No, he is skilled. You should debate him. Look, he's not Destiny. He's not as good as Destiny rhetorically, but he's better than Destiny in every other way.
It's hard. He's not a terrible person.
Yeah. No, but he seems like an all right guy. I think it would be.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. What I was going to say is, like, I'll do one of these debates and then I have 50 people, right? Like, I'm sure you heard me grousing about the January 6th debate. I talked to Destiny for 5 hours. He rage quits before we get to talk to the topic I want. And then I like tomfoolery, but like immediately I'm like, listen, man, I'm tired of giving into the left and doing these January 6th debates over and over and over and over and over again. And tomfoolery's like, hey man, I'd like to talk to you about January 6th. Then I get like 8 more people that want to. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
At some point it's just like, after Chuck says I've debated Rashad Crenshaw.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I've debated so many people. Sometimes it gets lost. But he sounds familiar.
Aftershock says he's not good. Last night he showed some skill.
Oh.
And I have not seen you debate this guy, so
I'd be open to talking to him.
We'll differ. We'll differ.
Very few people that I wouldn't interact with again. It's like a very short list, and 99% of the time, the reason for that is because there's been so much toxicity, not necessarily from that person, but from their community. But it's just not worth my time. Like there are certain members on the Twitch trans community that literally, for me to discuss something with them for 5 minutes would mean the total banning of my Twitch channel because I would get mass reported, and so it's like, why would I even put myself in that situation? It's not worth even attempting. So, but other than that,
that's actually another reason why I've considered I'm getting out of politics, is because it is so divisive. If you put out an opinion that someone from the opposing side doesn't like, what do immediately? They have their audience mass flag you. They try to destroy your channel and everything else. And look, I'm tired of being nice. So I am going to make music. I'm already in the process of writing the first song I'm planning on releasing. I'm thinking about naming it Dystopia Utopia. My music's going to be political. We're going to be tossing commies in music. So sorry, that's a lot of work.
Just had to ban someone on Twitch. Again, I'll tell people, when you're using words that could violate TOS, like if you're using words that are explicitly accusing people of assaulting children in the most heinous of ways, sometimes what that does is, even if it's just in the chat, that could affect me as the streamer. I understand the person that's using that word probably hates me because they're denigrating Trump, but I'm just trying to, Aftershock says I debated him on Trump's lawsuit, the felonies. Okay, I vaguely remember that. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I would be happy to talk. The ones with me, Gibbs, Pisco, and Pondering. I'll have to go. Well, wasn't Joe Lewis?
No.
That was the hippy dippy with okay.
I really don't. I refuse to work with Joe Lewis.
Joe's funny. Half the time he seems very reasonable, and half the time it's just like,
I just don't deal with black nationalists and black separatists. I just no. I don't deal with any racial supremacist, and he's basically he's Nick Fuentes
without the charm.
With different hair.
See, here's the thing about Nick, right? Like, I've never dealt with Nick, and I wonder how many of his beliefs are blown out of proportion. I don't know. But what I have seen of Nick is there are traits about him that are likable. I can see why an audience would generate.
He has charisma. He does. But look, most of your psychopaths do. I mean, look, the evil guy with the mustache from the 1930s. he was always described as charismatic. So I'm just saying, look, there's some people, and I'm not saying
Charlie
Nick Fuentes
Chaplin?
is that even remotely. Nick Fuentes, I think a lot of his reputation is overblown. Okay, he's not as bad as everyone says he is, but where he does the stuff that he does say is like, ooh, no, no.
It's like this. There's certain things like I have my issue. My big issue is corruption. And obviously, I talk about that sometimes on topics that maybe you would feel that's only tangential. But I think I'm at least reasonable and could engage in a discussion without bringing that up constantly as the center focus.
Well, see, and the deal is, one of his big deals is people of a certain religious background.
And it seems to be brought up every time.
In everything.
So it makes
and that's the problem I have.
There's a similarity with, believe it or not, and I don't mean this on the same moral plane, but it's like a lot of ANCAPs. Like there was someone in my Twitch chat earlier, right, that's just blowing up the chat, just comment after comment after comment after comment. I forget who the guest is, but it's on there. And they're just like, you're a statist. How could you even suggest voting? Taxation is theft. You're talking about voting? Have fun voting for your own slavery. The mere fact you participate means you're a slave. Participating means you're a slave. Have fun voting, slave. And it's like, wow, you're a blast to talk to. I get it. You think that we should not involve ourselves in the system because the entire system is slavery. Great, you've said your piece. Goodbye. What else is there to say? I get it, and it makes it...
You have to deal with the system that you're in, though. It's not like you can foment a revolution and destroy it all overnight. You have to deal within the situation. If you don't like the situation, you can work on changing it. But people don't like change. So if you want change to happen, it has to be incremental. I'm an abortion abolitionist. I would love nothing more than abortion to be banned nationwide without exceptions. And I know some people, clutch their pearls and go, oh my God. But I understand that that's a big ask. Okay. I am okay with, hey, Roe v. Wade being overturned. That's beautiful. So it goes to the states. Let the states decide. Mm-hmm. And if they want to go for the national deal, hey, I'd be more than happy to see anything after 16 weeks banned, because I understand that the Supreme Court lied to the women in America and told them that killing an unborn child is a right. Okay. I understand they did a big goof, and for 70 years, everyone thought, oh, well, this is my right. I can just kill this infant that's growing inside of me because the Supreme Court said so. Nowhere is killing another human a human right. So
yeah, I know what you're saying, and it is it's difficult to evaluate sort of being pragmatic and understanding that a lot of the beliefs that anyone has aren't going to be implemented immediately and universally, versus selling out to the point where you're unrecognizable because you put your core beliefs on the back burner. And it is a fine line to toe. If abortion's your big issue and you say no abortion ever, complete elimination, how can I convince someone but listen, that's not a position that will ever win any sort of national election? To which their response is going to be is a country worth saving that has to exist based on the death of children? Mm-hmm. And it's a compelling point. And so it does become difficult to be but things will be obviously better if we vote in this case for the party or the politician that is better on all of the other issues according to your worldview, and is even better on the issue you're focused on, just isn't as excellent as you want. And it's a difficult proposition. It really is.
You've gotta be realistic in what you advocate for. And that's really where it is. Like my River, my co-host, she hates it when we start talking about abortion because I'm an abolitionist. And she says, well, there has to be some exceptions. And I'm like, okay, but no. I'm like, I just find it to be morally abhorrent. And she's like, and she wants to play the what if game. And I'm like, River, I am serious. I've thought about all this. Yes, some people will get a raw deal. Sucks to be them.
Damien said, I think I missed this. Damien said when he was talking about you quitting, I think he said for $2, Sparky, don't worry, I'm watching Rob for illegal AI use. So don't worry.
There you go.
Yeah, just to make sure that Rob GPT doesn't rear his ugly head here.
Look, Rob GPT is the third best Rob there is on the internet. Okay. Number one is transpositive Rob, and then there's normal everyday Rob.
Maybe he'll make an appearance.
That's 1 and 2. Transpositive Rob, definitely my favorite Rob, although I can only take him in about 10 to 15 minute increments.
Yeah, me too. That's how I feel. I definitely hear that. So, hey, I got a guest that's going to be coming on at 6, so we got 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so
man.
I would be,
you're good.
If I didn't ask you, like, what's your feelings going into this election? Like, what are you seeing on the ground where you're at? And, like, do you have any feelings how you think things might turn out?
Okay, so I live in the reddest state in America. I live in Oklahoma, center of flyover country. I mean, look, I-40 drives right through us. I-35 drives right through us going north. Literally just drive through. No one cares. All you see is boring. Look, the state that is so just mediocre, it's simply just okay. Of course, I see a lot of Trump signs. And even when I go to the blue areas, so like Norman, where my alma mater is, OU, I see a lot of Trump signs, which normally would be as blue as can be. But I don't like to use that as a litmus. What I like to use is I've got family in California, in Southern California, around Orange County, and they see a lot of Trump signs.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that California is going to flip red. That'd be ridiculous to even mention. But what I'm saying is people are in deep blue areas are being less afraid to express themselves politically. So that is a positive. Everything that I'm hearing coming out of Pennsylvania, and I haven't talked to you about this, Rob. The things that I'm hearing from Pennsylvania is pretty positive. You actually see some Trump things in Philly, something that'd be unheard of. In Pittsburgh, from what I understand, there's more Trump, pro-Trump activity than what you would normally think. But to see it in Philly is crazy.
So to talk a little about this, so Pittsburgh, I have a friend that lives in Pittsburgh that's sort of apolitical. Good friend of mine I talk to a lot. Definitely not super into politics. I think he is going to vote for Trump this time. His vote for Trump, I think, largely is post-assassination attempt and sort of how people that he knew in his real life, like, he was shocked how many of them were like, good. Wish that person wouldn't have missed. And he was just basically, enough is enough of this shit. Right? Like, and that's sort of where he was coming from. But he messaged me last night or early today and was like, I think Trump and Kamala are doing rallies in Pittsburgh, maybe the day before the election. And he was like, it's weird to live basically in the most important area in the world for 24 hours. Like, for that 24-hour period. And he's like, it's so weird. It's going to be like, 15 minutes from my house either way that you're going to, and he's like, it's a very weird thing. And he's like, I'm no political expert. He's like, but I'm telling you right now, just from being around Pittsburgh, I wouldn't be shocked for Trump to win Pittsburgh. That's what he said. He said, like, and now I would be shocked. That would be too far. The game is, can you mitigate Philly and Pittsburgh and Erie enough with the sort of middle of the state? If Trump's outright winning Pittsburgh, he ain't going to outright win Philly. But if he did outright win Pittsburgh, that would definitely be enough to tip the scale. So I don't think that will occur. If he doesn't win Pittsburgh, that doesn't mean he's lost the state.
Yeah.
But that's his vibe. And I understand all of that's anecdotal. There are reasons in Pennsylvania to look at the numbers to be excited, such as the early voting numbers. I think we heard, who was it earlier today that was talking about this, and this is true, the firewall for Democrats in the Pennsylvania election in 2020 was about 1.1 million votes before Election Day even began. That's how far ahead Democrats were. This year, it looks like it's going to be close to 400,000. That means that they're basically, we'll say conservatively, 650,000 votes less. And that's a state that they only won by 80,000 votes. Now, of course, you have to measure in there. There's more Republicans that are voting beforehand, so are they all low propensity voters? Or will there no doubt be Republicans that voted early that elsewise would have voted on Election Day? Certainly there's some of those. And you have to weigh the fact that there will be Democrats that previously voted by mail because 2020 was COVID that now will be voting in person. But the question is, are there 650,000 of those two groups? And the smart money would say no. There's not, but I don't know in this state of Pennsylvania how much that will matter, because I'll just put this as diplomatically as possible. It may be that the institutional advantages to being a Democrat in Pennsylvania may be too much to overcome. So there's definitely, if you're just looking at the raw data, the other thing is, there is this, well, women are voting earlier more, and that's true. And don't take anything I'm saying as reason that you shouldn't go out to vote. Like, dude, I don't give a shit if you think Trump's 10 points down, 10 points up, anywhere in between. You need to vote. It's the only way we will win. But, like, looking at these numbers, the idea that women, particularly in Pennsylvania, are voting earlier at higher portions than men, the numbers I'm looking at are about 53% of early voting's been women, and something like 47%'s been men, right? But that's normal. That's the way it was in 2020, and it turns out men tend to outvote women on election day. And so it's not necessarily a... oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
But nothing important. My Zoom call just ended, but it's no big deal. I thought that something happened, but it's just because no one's been on there for, that's all.
Yeah.
But, so there are definitely numbers, and that's in addition to polling that you see that suggests Trump's up in Pennsylvania. So we'll see. I choose to operate best as the underdog, so I choose to believe that we're always fighting an uphill battle right until the very last moment, Tuesday night when the last ballots counted. Then we'll reevaluate. But that's how I choose to look.
The last ballot isn't going to be counted until probably Friday.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true.
It's because they got to know how much they need to make up. Look, the fix is in. I do believe that they are going to do the shadow campaign again. I see it like this: voter turnout, I believe, is going to be at an all-time high. Normally, early voting in Oklahoma, which started yesterday, day before yesterday. People were waiting in line for 3 hours to vote. Normally during the early voting time, there's no wait. It's go in, you vote, you leave. I'm voting on election day because I believe there's only one day to vote. That's what it says in the Constitution. People like my wife, she went to go vote. She went and did early voting because she's being out of the country for voting day. So, hey, you got to go vote.
I talked about this earlier. Like, so for me, the calculus on when to vote at this point now, I certainly believe there should only be, with exceptions, like absentee ballots, people that are medically infirmed. Of course, exceptions made for them that can't physically get to a polling place. That I get. You serve in the military, you can't make it to a polling place. Totally get that. But those are sort of the exceptions that we've always had. And even in my state of Pennsylvania, those exceptions were expressly written into the Pennsylvania Constitution. There's a big debate as to whether mail-in voting goes against the Pennsylvania Constitution, which basically lays out the specific exemptions. And so if you aren't one of those specific exemptions that allow you to vote by mail, is the Constitution saying that therefore you can't vote by mail? Or is it that, it just outlines some of the specific reasons, but that's not non-inclusive of other reasons or dispositive of other reasons?
I've been thinking about something recently, and I wanted your opinion on it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm a proponent for voter ID, okay? But voter ID can still be made. There's fraud. You can have fraudulent IDs. Biometrics. What do you think about biometric voter ID?
It's interesting, right? There's certainly pros and cons. It certainly
seems like it would. Do you really want the government to have that information for one? But
so, on one hand, right, no form of security will ever be 100% perfect. So voter ID is certainly better than a status quo like here in Pennsylvania, where it's not required. But it certainly would be more secure to have biometric, but it does result in a problem of, are you comfortable giving that sort of data to a government institution? So I would think that a happy medium would be, there'd still be able to be some fraud with presenting some form of official government ID, but that would limit it considerably, and that's good enough for me, as opposed to going to the next step to having to provide like DNA or something to be able to vote.
Well, see, the government already has my DNA, so I don't have it.
There you go.
I sold my soul to the government years ago.
The question of like how to vote for me, because we have the system we have, and here's the problem. I think it was a mistake for Republicans, particularly in Pennsylvania in 2020, to sign off on Act 77, which massively increased mail-in voting. But they didn't take advantage of it in 2022. And I liken it to this, professional football. It used to be that you weren't allowed to have the forward pass, right? So you could only hand off the ball or pass backwards, right? And then at some point they changed the rule. So imagine being a team that's pissed about it, and you're like, that's horseshit. That's not real football. So we're not going to do it. We're not going to pass the ball forward. We're going to play by the old rules. And the other teams will go, Okay? And we're going to beat you every game. And that's what would happen. So just because you don't like the rule, once the rule is in place, you have no choice but to embrace it. And I think that's a mistake that hopefully Republicans are correcting this time around, where they rightfully said that the way that this was changed, the laws have been changed, were ripe for possible fraud, neglect, etc., and that it would be preferable to go back to the old system where we voted in person and change it to you have to have voter ID. I agree with all that, but that's not the way it is right now. And so you need to be doing things like ballot harvesting. You need to be encouraging early voting. So for me, the calculus comes down to what is the most likely scenario for your vote to be counted? And there are pros and cons of voting in person on election day versus mail-in voting. The con of voting in person election day is, what if an emergency comes up? What if you're in a wreck? What if you have a heart attack? What if there's a terrible storm? What if the power goes out? What if there's a line that's 20 hours and you get discouraged and have to go home? And all of those things are a possibility. But there are negatives to voting by mail. What if the mail truck wrecks and catches fire? What if some vagrant lights the drop box on fire, like we saw happen in Portland?
I think drop boxes are completely ridiculously just illegal. It should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're unsecurable.
Yes, I agree. And then there were supposed to be cameras on them, but half the cameras malfunctioned in 2020 and all that shit. I mean, it's grotesque. So
just like Epstein's, Epstein's prison cell. Yeah.
So there's definitely scenarios where you can say, well, your chance of getting counted is better if you mail in. For me, it's a simple decision. I live in an area of the world where it's about 10 minutes to my polling station. My entire process of going in to vote will be about 4 minutes maximum. It's a small enough county with a big enough presence of people that volunteer at the polls that it always runs smoothly. Even if every single, even if like instead of 40% of the county voting, even if it ends up being 100%, we're talking about a wait time of 20 minutes to a half an hour. So I don't have those concerns that maybe other people have that you're voting in a city. So for me, it was an easy decision for me and my family to go election day. But I understand the people that vote early, and all forms of that's important, right? If you're the team of the Trump team, the Republican team, you want to diversify the type that's occurring because it makes it more secure in the fact that it's harder to find one area to exploit. So you can't be in Arizona in 2022 when you're like, whoopsie daisy, the machine stopped working. Oh, well, I guess you lose, right? Because now there's at least this backup that enough people, had voted previously, et cetera, et cetera. So I get it. And I understand why the Trump team's been pushing early voting. And you've seen a lot of conservative influencers, your Charlie Kirks, people like that are like, why aren't you out there voting early? I respect that. It didn't work for me, for my personal decision, but I mean, I took the week off work. I've planned to literally spend my entire day being available, driving anyone in this county that needs to get to the pool.
That's really awesome.
So I'm hoping that people take me up on that offer because I know an awful lot of people that are registered to vote that probably don't, it's just another day. And I'm going to be pestering them like, I'll pick you up and tell you funny stories on the way to the fucking polling station. Let's go. Of course, I'm sure someone like Pisco will be like, but actually, the law says that you're not allowed to give something of value to people to encourage them to vote. And we all know, Rob, people would pay money to hear your humorous stories. So actually, you're probably breaking the law driving people to vote.
Look,
we get it.
Pisco spent all day yesterday claiming that Trump said that what's her name should be put in front of a firing squad. Right. So
reeks of desperation. It's why are I mean, it amazes me at how people are willing to throw away their credibility. Like, first off, do you really think that argument's going to move the needle? Right? Like, either Trump will win or he won't. Do you think that argument? So you're willing to just piss away any shred of credibility you have? That's what you're willing to do over this?
And for Christ's sakes, it's a Cheney. Like seriously, we're talking about someone whose father shot his best friend in the face, or shot one of his friends in the face, and his friend apologized for getting in the way of the shot. We're talking about one of the people that helped devise the scam to send people like me to Iraq. Where I lost friends.
No, yeah.
And things like that.
I don't like to talk about it. I certainly look. One of my friends he wasn't like my best friend or anything, but he was someone that I hung out with, used to drink with in high school, would go bowling with, played football with. Humorous guy. Like we were chummy. He passed away in Afghanistan. And, I don't like to wear it on my sleeve or any shit like that. I always try to talk about it on Memorial Day to kind of just pay a little homage to him because he's the closest person in my life that's passed away in service, you know. But how dare these fucking people clutch their pearls over that comment? Because it's a comment I've been making ever since the Iraq War. When poor people like my friends go over there to die, no one gives a shit, right? And so
I was for the war. I was for the war. Okay, I was big into it. Look, after 9/11, I was in the military already. I'm like, let's go get them bastards. And we went off to Afghanistan. And then they said, you know what? We got this going on in Iraq. And I went, okay. Because we've also, what a lot of people don't know is following the 89 invasion of Kuwait, America has been occupying Saudi Arabia, acting as their defense force for this entire time. I'm like, you know, this would be a good chance for us to end a threat in the region and allow Americans to go home. Let's go.
But here's the thing, right?
And then,
people like,
but
go ahead. Sorry.
When everything was done, when we figured out that Osama bin Laden wasn't in Afghanistan, by the way, that was a month into the campaign. We knew that a month into the campaign. And when we got into Baghdad and we found some weapons of mass destruction. The problem is they still said property of U.S. Army on the side of them because we sold the Iraqis weapons during the 70s while they were engaged in war with Iran. We realized it was all a lie. It was all a lie. And then we continued to stay there. And so over the years, it started to fester in my head. Why are we still here? We were told that we were coming here to do a thing. We did the thing. Let's move on. And no, then I see that, okay, we have Army soldiers protecting U.S. contractors because we've got to build new infrastructure and we've got to do all this other stuff. And oh my God, we're money laundering. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
Well,
out the backs of people
like you.
That's why I
left the military.
Patriots like you that volunteered to go over not because you wanted to get rich. Sure, there are opportunities with joining the military, but that wanted to go over because we were attacked and you wanted to protect our country. And that's what that argument, by the way, it's the same argument that hippies made all throughout the 70s, the Vietnam War, the 60s and 70s, right? The general argument of the chicken hawks that send our young people to die would think differently if it was them and their family on the front line. The left has made that argument. The left made that argument specifically about Dick Cheney. Where, like, if it was his kids that had to go. And what happened was 20 years later when Trump makes the exact same argument, hey, Dick Cheney's daughter, you wouldn't be for all these wars if you were in the line of fire. The same left that literally had that basically as a creed so much it would have been tattooed on their damn arm, all of a sudden are like, oh, how dare he? We can't believe that he would suggest that. I'm tired of this pearl clutching, just like the Tony Hinchcliffe stuff. I'm tired of it, man. I'm so tired of it. And like the idea that they're willing to sell out their credibility because they're so desperate. In their head, they don't give a shit. Orange man bad, everything on the table. We'll worry about our credibility later. All that matters is stopping the orange man.
But they're doing the same stuff they did with George Bush, okay? The literally Hitler thing, I'm old enough to remember George W. Bush. You know, he was literally Hitler. Now Trump is literally Hitler, and they love George W. It is ridiculous. I look at all this like I used to be pro-war, but that was when I was in the military and I had the ability to go and put my ass on the line. Okay, I'm not going to ever advocate for anyone else to go to war. That's why when Ukraine kicked on and people started talking about it, I'm like, no, it's none of our business.
Yeah.
I'm a Messianic Jew. Israel is a place that holds some significance to me. And I'm like, still not our problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's not Americanistan. And I'm sick and tired of sending our men and women overseas to die in wars that have nothing to do with us, but has everything to do with the special interest class of America that is funding our political class to make decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I said this. I remember when I used to write for John Burke's website, you know, I remember with the whole Ukraine shit when it started, I was like, why is it that we're always asking sort of blue-collar Americans that they need to sacrifice more? Under COVID, it was, oh, sorry, you guys got locked down. You got to make sacrifices. Sorry. The elites didn't. They went off to their parties. They had Barack Obama had a birthday party. They had John Lewis got to have a nice funeral. Not my relatives, not my friends. They were told they were non-essential and told to eat shit, and they had to stay home. but all the elites got to do whatever the hell they wanted. Then we have this situation in Ukraine. Oh, sorry, guys. America's going to sacrifice more. And by America sacrifice more, they don't mean Lockheed Martin. They don't mean the politicians. They don't mean the wealthy. They mean, once more, the poor and the working class. And when it comes to climate change, sorry, America, you're going to have to suck it up and sacrifice more. Who do they mean? The poor and the working class again. I'm so tired of it. And, I'm not saying there's never a place for military intervention or where our troops don't have to be sent. For God's sakes, any country needs to have a robust military that's willing to protect itself and its interests. That I understand. The problem I have is the flippancy in which people are sent to these meat grinders by people that are never going to be touched by that in the first place. There are people that I vehemently disagree with, but have at least served and been in conflict zones, so you could say at least that person has an idea. It's this sort of old idea, in law enforcement. They have police officers, before they finish training, get tased or get maced. And the idea is you should know how that feels like, right? Before you flippantly want to just, I'm going to run around and tase people and mace people, you should feel for a second what that's like in just a little way.
So to be certified in that, you have to be tased, you have to be maced. I've been certified in both. And it was... eye-opening and both blinding at the same time, because getting maced really sucks. Getting tased, not pleasant either. But look, I know you're running up against a deadline. Look, this has been my grievance portion. We will be talking about positive things with Ron Paul later on tonight.
Yeah, I'll hit you up. I'll check and see what my times are. I got people, even as I'm talking, I got people texting me and they're adjusting times and this, that, and the other. Now, the nice thing about you is there are certain people, if they call on, we could have you on with, like, if Frank or Drone Tech or something, that would be great to have 3-4 of us on a time. That's not a problem. But, like, some of these people that are, like, state level politicians and stuff, or people involved.
No, I have no business being there.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just that, they're going to have to call. I wanted to explain this real quick. The reason I'm using Zoom, for those that don't know, because Jebtan was like, what the fuck, you boomer? What are you using Zoom for? Well, the reason is because a lot of people that aren't involved in streaming regularly have no clue what Discord is. And the only platform that they're sort of familiar with video calls is Zoom. So I actually had to buy a Zoom subscription this morning because otherwise you could only do 40-minute calls. So
and
that's
then there's so many people that cannot use Discord. Frank, let's be frank. He has been banned off of Discord because one person in his Discord wrote something that broke their terms of service and the mods didn't catch it. And so everyone in that server got banned who had any type of modding rights or ownership rights.
No kidding.
So,
Yeah, I got a story about that. I'll tell the audience here as I wait. But thanks so much, Sparky. We'll talk to you here later in the evening, I'm sure. Always
you have a great rest of your night. Have a great stream. And, of course, look, stay strong, man. Look, pound you some energy drinks, what you got to do. I'll be on later on. And we'll instead of griping about things, let's talk about positive things.
Let's do it.
We got Ron Paul. And, look, everyone
talk about Peanut the squirrel. That's the late night talk. Yeah, we're on it.
Yeah,
we got a lot
I'm all
of
about
Peanut
it.
News. Yeah, so.
All right, buddy.
Right, well, take it easy. Thanks.
All right, brother. Later.
Yep. 1 second. Give me a second. Zero Smoke says Jake Rattlesnake sent me here. Love to talk to Jake. Andrew Wilson was supposed to reach out to Jake. I don't have a connection to him. Maybe Jake will be calling in tonight. But Jake, great guy. Awesome that he sent you here. Also, Damien. I know I saw it. You sent a super chat. I saw it. I didn't get to it. Super chat, $2. Trump's comment was equal to walk a mile in their shoes. That's exactly right. That's exactly what the comment was. Everybody knows it. It's an argument that's been made. Oh, Jake Rattlesnake, thanks so much. Sent multiple people over. Great guy. Never had a chance to talk to Jake myself. If I get in touch with him today, would love for him to call on the show. I think it would be great to talk to him. But great guy. He's a prick. Never mind. He's a huge jerk. Just kidding. I'm aware. I've seen him moderate some debates. I know he's worked with Andrew Wilson. And I saw that he was at least putting out some things on X about, the debate I had the other day on Modern Day Debates with our great poet that I debated against. So couldn't be happier to hear. Yeah, Jake is funny. I've seen his content. So I'm going to use the restroom real quick, and then I should be on. I'm in communicado with my friend. Incommunicado, that's the opposite word. I'm in communication with a friend of the show, Todd Bartlett. He's going to call in. He's got like some hilarious. Now, here's the thing with Todd. He's got a weird sense of humor, so he's like, I got this hilarious skit. We'll see what he brings to the table. We'll see what Todd's hilarious skit. Then he's got serious things to talk about as well. So give me a chance here. Okay. to use the restroom. And then I will be back. What should I put? Should I play? Nah, I'll just be back. Give me a second. I'll be right back. About that. I didn't know if I get demonetized. Thought about opening the show with doing a little karaoke. Hands washed. They're a little wet, you can see. Everybody, you think I got poor hygiene just because I look like a fat slob, you know? I know how to wash my hands. I only had 2 or 3 restroom breaks, so we are officially... we've been going 10 and a half hours. So going strong, baby. Feeling good. Still got a lot of content to get you up. Getting near the halfway mark. Let's bring on my friend Todd Bartlett. I got to find my... He's going to call in. So we're not going to... You know, Todd, this dude. I love Todd, but he's got to make it difficult. It's got to be a call in to the old Google Voice number. So, you know, it's funny, too. Todd does this stuff all the time. You'd think he's like some ugly troll. No, he's a normal-looking guy. So we're not avoiding him visually because it's necessary. It's just he's got things going on with his phone or whatever. He's going to be on the road. I don't know. He's probably not having a good day either as a college football fan. Yeah, part 1 of the stream set private till I could edit out some bad words. We'll get it taken care of, though. It'll be up. Yeah, Richard Spencer endorsing Kamala. Oh, boy. Jesse on Fire, I don't know of, but sure, I'm willing to collab with anyone, especially someone who's like-minded with me. I think that's a great plan. Oh, it's going to get weird late tonight, man. We got all these great guests that are coming on today. Guests from the streaming world. We still got Andrew Wilson coming up. I think my buddy Drone Tech Politics. Jebtan might come on. You know, so we got people from the streaming world. We got my congressman, Glenn Thompson, the great Todd Bartlett that's going to be on here. So we got people from the political world, people from the streaming world. And then, of course, we're going to have the weird late night just me. You're going to get stuck with just me at the wee hours of the morning on no sleep.
Call from
Kamala Harris.
To accept, press 1.
Hello, Kamala. Is it you?
Hi, Rob.
Hello, Mr. Bartley. So for my guest...
I wanted to see if you'd answer Kamala's call.
I would have. I assumed she was going to line my pockets with a bunch of money and I was going to sell out midstream. That was my big plan, but it's just Todd. So for my audience that may not know Todd Bartley, let me sing your praises for a minute. Todd formerly hosted a radio show with me. For my money, he is one of the only real journalists that I've ever met. Someone who started off in sports journalism, who found, especially during COVID and other issues that were going on, both locally and at the state level, that there was all sorts of need for real journalists that were willing to hold truth to power as supposed to be, the entire mission. So it took a sports journalist to actually ask difficult questions of our Governor Tom Wolf, Health Secretary Levine, that's now, Admiral Levine or whatever, and breaking all sorts of stories to the point, at one point, Todd here, and he wears it like a badge of honor, actually had his car firebombed for stories he was breaking locally in Williamsport. One of the most interesting guys you ever meet, and pretty funny as well. Todd, thank you so much for calling in, man. I always appreciate it.
Rob, you're more than welcome. I'm sure you know of the Wendy Bell radio show.
I do.
So, there's a character on her show, a guy named Earl,
Yeah.
Well, apparently Earl heard this whole thing about the garbage, and he decided to challenge one of them guys in Wendy's neighborhood. I don't know if you heard about some of her neighbors are Harris Waltz fans. Well, Earl said, well, I'm going to bring my plastic trash can with my oars from my canoe down the river, and you bring your back door screen door, and we're going to have a boat race. Sure enough, they went down there, and old Earl had to bring his life ring to get Wendy's neighbor out the river because that screen door went in the water and him on it, and that neighbor was out of luck, man. He doesn't have a screen door anymore, Rob. He's going to have to go to Lowe's or Home Depot to get a replacement screen door. But sure enough, Earl still got his trash can.
It's unbelievable. Earl! Us garbage people, I got to fix my audio here. What's going on with my microphone? Ah, boy, oh boy. Okay.
Is it garbage?
It is garbage. It's when I'm using Google Voice. For some reason, it's peeking in and out for reasons I can't identify. We're just going to make it work, so apologies to the audience. I'll speak really loud. I'll be watching my levels and try to make sure that you're all capable of hearing me. So let me.
Rob, did I mention I'm a diehard Buckeye fan too? Go Bucks!
Yeah, I was gonna ask. What'd you feel? My brother's on here right now. He's a huge Penn State fan. He's gonna hate you.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Because we all agree on the same thing. And the guys from State College said it earlier. Fire Franklin. $7 million a year gets you that. Fire him.
Has he ever beat Ohio State?
He's like one in forever. And they talk about the block punt from years ago. Well, if we'd had the transfer portal back then, that wouldn't have been our punter.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem to, do anything for you when it comes to the big games. And if you're a program like Penn State, isn't that all that matters? It seems like mediocrity's being rewarded once more in Pennsylvania sports.
We agree.
So
did I mention the Buckeyes won?
I did hear that. Listen, one more time, I'll say for my audience, I have no idea what it is. It has to do with something with Google Voice. On my level, the audio is showing that everything should be good. So there's nothing that I'm capable of doing with my limited technological experience. So hopefully it's listenable to you all. I know you all can hear Todd. That's probably the only important thing anyways. But let me ask you, Todd. So let me ask you, let's just start with this. What's your feelings going into this election? How you feeling about Penn State? How you feeling about Pennsylvania? It's in particular when it comes to this election.
So we talked about this a little bit ago, and I don't think Pennsylvania's going to matter. I think all the shenanigans and wait until Friday and all that nonsense, they're going to render the result Tuesday night, and we're going to know Tuesday night. They're going to render Josh Shapiro and this whole group of folks that think it's election week instead of election day irrelevant.
Yeah.
And the next day when it's declared, or that night that it's declared that Trump's the winner, Josh is going to announce that he's going to run for president, and I can't wait. I hope he announces at 12:01 into Wednesday morning. Can't wait for him to announce he's going to run for president.
I think that Josh Shapiro running for president is going to shoot your star is going to rise quite incredibly because you're one of the people that's been following Josh Shapiro's career for quite a long time, and there's quite a few skeletons in that closet.
Well, let me let you in a little inside baseball here, folks. Everybody wants to talk about the religious reason. Everybody cites that was why he was not picked. I'm here to tell you, I have a dossier, and the Myrtle Beach case was a major factor in him not becoming the vice president. And it's going to play on a big stage. If he wants to be president, it's going to play.
Can you do a quick rundown of that Myrtle Beach case, keeping in mind that, try to, package it in a minute or two because most people aren't going to know the players in the game. But suffice it to say, what it shows evidence of is Josh Shapiro, being a Democrat that supposedly cares about minorities, seemed to not be there as Attorney General when a victim of color was assaulted by people on his team that had connections to powerful people, and when a person actually needed his help the most, he dropped the ball and didn't have any accountability or justice for that victim.
You summed it up. Long story short, white teammate sneaks into a black teammate's room while black teammate is sleeping, commits an indecent sexual assault. All the grown-ups find out. They cover it up, leave the jurisdiction, engage in a massive cover-up. A child line calls is subsequently made. The detective that investigates it used to have a son in the program. He never should have had that case to begin with. It gets referred to the Attorney General. His investigators come in, find everything that I reported on to be factually accurate, and Josh decides not to charge the adults when the factual record is those people should be in jail.
Yeah,
it's not even a question. The kid is subsequently charged who did it in Myrtle Beach, and Josh, while running for governor, while still being the Attorney General, has a rally on the Capitol steps, standing in front of sexual abuse survivors, and is asked by me, why does John Doe 1's family feel that you have not given them justice? And his answer to me was, we're not going to talk about the specifics of that case. Rob, I had survivors come up to me after the press conference and go, what didn't he do? And I told them. And I said, when are you going to decide not to be used as a puppet in his game?
That's right. It's all lip
telling
service.
You, I can't wait till he runs for president. Josh, I'm begging you, please run for president.
And he will. He will run. And I think deep down, you tell me if you think I'm reading this situation correctly. Deep down, he's hoping for Kamala to get trounced because that will vindicate him, right?
Absolutely. And he's going to sit there and go, well, she should have picked me.
Yep.
She should have picked me. Josh, she was never going to pick you, and Myrtle Beach played. Now when you want to be the guy, and they're saying that, he was so aspirational that, she couldn't have him in the same room because he might, wait for it, he might be smarter than her. That bar is set so low, that's not saying much either.
Yeah. I mean, so again, my guest here, for those asking, is journalist and former co-host of the radio show. Actually, he basically did the whole radio show. I was just a co-host of his. Todd Bartlett is who we're talking to. Also a fan of Ohio State. My brother asked specifically. He's a big Penn State fan. So there you go, Jesse. Ohio State fan. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more when it comes to sort of, Josh Shapiro hasn't had the sort of national level vetting. And heck, we know when it comes to the Pennsylvania media, if it's not you, it's basically no one that's holding any politician's feet to the fire. And so we'll see. He wants to grandstand on these issues about, helping minorities, helping sexual assault victims. But when he had the opportunity to go to bat for people in those very groups that were being, maligned and horrible things done to them by powerful people, when it mattered, he did nothing. And to me, that represents his lack of ability to have leadership and do what's right under stressful circumstances.
So, Rob, let me give you a little more inside baseball. The victim in that case is currently in federal court in a federal civil rights lawsuit. When that case finally makes its way through the court system and all the facts in that case come out, those adults that cover that up will be going to jail. Whether it's Pennsylvania or South Carolina, I'll make a prediction, they're going to go to jail. And it's going to make Josh look like an absolute fool.
And then, for those that don't know, it was basically the reporting on this case that put you in the crosshairs of some lunatic people that not only attacked your home, but issued threats to you quite frequently, kind of illustrating the days of journalists that were actually willing to, put themselves on the line to cover an important story. Like, you actually lived that.
Yeah, we're in court right now in a separate lawsuit that my family filed, against some of the people that made online threats. And it's going your way when you ask the judge who hired the detective in the Myrtle Beach case years ago to probably recuse himself, and he does legal gymnastics to stay in the case for now until he's deposed in the kid's case. Like, are you kidding me, guys? Like, we have all the receipts.
So this, for those asking about Myrtle Beach, it's in South Carolina, and the reason that we're talking about South Carolina and Pennsylvania, the baseball team is from Pennsylvania, but the assault actually occurred on a school trip to South Carolina for a baseball tournament. And so that's why
they were playing their spring training. Yeah, they were playing their spring training trip in Myrtle Beach. It's like an annual thing. Since that happened and since my reporting came out, they've never been back. They were disinvited for future events.
And it seems, if I remember correctly, at least some of the law enforcement down in South Carolina took it more seriously than the domestic law enforcement here in Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. They ended up charging the kid.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's really a tragedy, and again, it just goes to show the people like Josh Shapiro that morally grandstand on victims of sexual assault and minorities, and helping the people that are attacked by powerful people, literally did nothing when they had the ability to actually do something. And here's the thing, right? Like, Todd, I think there's no bones about that you have a bias like we all do. Like, we all have our preference of who we want to win electorally. But you, who had been covering that case, absolutely would have praised Josh Shapiro had he done the right thing. It wasn't like you were just trying to demonize him no matter what. You, like everyone else, gave him a chance to do the right thing, and he dropped the ball.
Rob, I was told specifically, there were people that were on my team at the time and will be called as fact witnesses in our case, that at the time, when it all started to come out in 18, 19, 20, that, yes, Josh was going to do something as Attorney General because this case was so depraved, and that, yes, he was going to take action and he was going to do something. Well, it's great you did an investigation and your investigators made findings of fact. Well, bring it across the finish line and send people to jail.
And nothing. It doesn't send
Nothing.
any of the adults that were... You have to understand, the adults intentionally covered up, harassed, intimidated people that were trying to seek justice for this poor victim. And none of them have been held accountable in any way whatsoever. And again, Josh Shapiro, again, I'm not going to relitigate the whole case. What I will tell you is Todd has covered this case so thoroughly. The facts are pretty much at this point indisputable. The timeline of facts you've gone. So this wasn't particularly like requiring some Columbo type figure, to prosecute this case. This was intentional. You know what? We don't feel like going forward for this.
Yeah, and to kind of bring it back to what you're talking about with the 24-hour ID and going into Tuesday, and I'm not trying to draw a correlation that it happened to me, but I really understand, the president's plight and his family's plight, because taking the harassment that my family's taken for 6 years over that just one case, let alone running for president, and then, having somebody do what they did in Butler and then the knucklehead in Florida and maybe this other guy in California, I totally understand what he's going through. I understand the stress of his family that's going through and the people in his circle that are around him, that the stress that they're going through, because I've lived it. My family's lived it.
Yeah, I do. My heart goes out to you. I know, right, that what, just a little bit of what you've gone through, and it's really just, insane. It really is. To my wife, if you're listening, the answer is no. She wants to know if I have an HDMI cord they're working on stuff down in the basement. So let me ask you specifically about... yeah, I know.
Hey, is she playing Mario Kart? Mario got stuck? Is that what it is?
That's what happened. So, yeah, I took the cord somewhere else, and they're trying to hook it up. So the Mario Karting not going so well right now. But let's talk about Kamala specifically and the stories surrounding her. I guess before we get to her specifically. So one of the things I always like talking to you about is someone whose profession is journalism, who had a love for it, and that's why you got involved. The constant shame that you must feel looking at your peer group. What do you think about what I would say is a new low for just blatant lying with all of these media members that are coming out, alleged journalists, parroting this lie that Trump said that he wants Liz Cheney to be executed by a firing squad?
I don't think that's what he said.
He didn't,
I
of
don't think
course
that's
not.
what he said at all.
But what do you think about the media just blatantly lying about it? Like, at what point is it a new low?
Now back up a second, Rob. Tell me if I'm getting this wrong. He said and was trying to draw the analogy of it's okay for you and your family, meaning the Cheneys and the Iraq War, to send anybody's sons and daughters over there to die on your behalf, but it's a whole lot different when the barrels are pointing back at you. That's the analogy he was making, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
He was not saying line her up in front of a firing squad and put her away, which, by the way, every time they say he's a threat to democracy or he's Hitler or he's anything but a child of God, what do you think they're oh, wait, the guy in Butler took that as truth and the guy in Florida took it as truth, that was a call to action. If I'm missing something there, please tell me if I'm wrong, Rob.
No, that's exactly right.
Okay, so then she says it's disqualifying for him to now be on the ballot that he said something. Well, I would argue that it's disqualifying for the current vice president to not enact the 25th Amendment, call the cabinet together, when the report came out that the current president would have been indicted for it not being his mental incapabilities. Tell me if I'm getting that one wrong, too.
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay, so then to your question about the media members, they cannot tell the truth ever. Because what was really sad was sitting in a room, in multiple rooms in different places all over the state, during the pandemic, and being in that front row or the second row or whatever, and watching the questions go around like, what's your favorite color? What did you have for lunch? We're not allowed to go to church on Sunday. We can't go see each other. We got to stand 6 feet apart. And I'm looking at my colleagues, and I use that term loosely, and go, are you understanding what this is from the jump? Do you understand what this is? This is two things. An absolute naked power grab, and you're all in, going along with it, for no reason other than, wait for it, everybody, they told you to.
Yep. And they're part of the group, right? That's the problem. Like, we're told that journalists hold truth to power, but the reality is they've been brought in the big tent of the unelected bureaucrats, the politicians, the wealthy donors, etc., that are the movers and shakers. And so they're part of that big group. And so they now, it's all roses. They don't look at like sort of the well-being of the constituents that are supposed to be the average person in this country. And so it was one of the most I still, to this day, the rage I feel for all of those policies during the pandemic. And to see someone like you standing there with all of your colleagues waiting a chance to ask, like, how can you tell people that they're non-essential, watching them struggle to get by while you co-sign off of people rioting and rallying for political positions that you favor? And all of these other journalists are sitting there like, how are you feeling today? Oh, it's so nice to see you in that suit or that dress. It was so infuriating for me, and I can't imagine how it felt for you to actually be there.
Well, let's bring this full circle. Okay, you ready? Prior to the pandemic, Governor Wolf signed into legislation anti-bullying and anti-hazing legislation. It's codified. Then we get to the pandemic. You can't go out in groups of larger than 25. Remember?
Yep.
Everything's shut down. Can't go to school. Groups of 25. Can't do it. Goes out and marches in a BLM protest march against his own and Secretary Levine's order. Who was the only person that challenged Secretary Levine, I think a Wednesday or Thursday. He's marching like the same day, whatever it was. He had to call a press conference the following Monday.
Yep.
To clean up the mess. And who got the first question? I did. And he said to me, well, I was very inconsistent by doing that. No kidding. You think?
Really?
So fast forward to Myrtle Beach. Case comes out. Josh says, I'm not going to charge anybody because. So wait a minute. The governor said there's anti-hazing, anti-bullying. He said there's 2 Pennsylvanias, one for white people, one for black people. And he marched in a BLM protest. Josh, what about all this? Oh, I don't have anything to say. Governor Wolf, anything to say? Nope, don't have anything either. This is the nonsense they're pulling on everybody.
that clip of you asking that question, that's still my most viewed YouTube video where I did a little video about that. It's surreal. It's surreal to hear you ask that question. And the way you preface the question, too, what people don't understand here in Pennsylvania, with the contempt at which our governor, Tom Wolf, who is the boss of Josh Shapiro, our current governor, who we're talking about, who can't wait to run for president, that was almost the VP pick, right? He's the attorney general at this time. And they are right. Tom Wolf is talking with such disdain to the people that just want to go back to work and provide for their families. He's calling them cowards. He's suggesting pulling their business license. He's saying that the counties that go back won't receive the CARES Act funding from the federal government that was necessary for these counties because they were locked down against their will. And he's smugly deriding these people. How dare you? You're a coward. I'll take away your business. And then a week later, he's violating his own order. And the only journalist in the state that's willing to ask this question is Todd. And so he asked Health Secretary Levine at the time, and she gives one of the worst answers. We think free speech matters, and we've always supported the rights to protest. Next question. Like she couldn't wait.
Well, that was a lie. No, that was a lie. That's a lie. Rob, it's a lie. Because when she moved her mother out, when Secretary Levine moved her mother out of the nursing home into some other facility or brought her home, whatever, against the order, by the way, that you could remove people. The folks in the leadership came to us before the press conference started. They go, listen, if you ask any question about gender identity, sexual orientation, any of that, we are immediately removing your credential and you'll be banned. How the hell is that free speech and free press?
Yep. It's all garbage, you know. And then to see, by the way, I'm aware of the audio issues. There's nothing I could do with Google Voice, but yeah, it's just absurd. Here's another, right? Like, just to give an idea of, again, I can't stress enough. This was the Democrats. This was Tom Wolf administration. Josh Shapiro, Attorney General. Tom Wolf supported Josh Shapiro, who then became governor. How about this story? Do you remember this? Do you remember on the eve of the 2020 the 2020 election, right? Do you remember they sent out all these notices to people in Pennsylvania, and you broke this story. They sent these notices out to people that said, hey, contact tracers have found out that you were in contact with someone with COVID. That means that you can't leave your home for the next 10 days. If you do, we could forcibly hospitalize you. And the problem was they were sending those letters out up to like 3-4 days before the election, which would mean if you got one of these letters, you would say, oh shit, I can't go vote in person election day. And no journalist in this state brought up to sort of the people in the Wolf administration, like, what's the plan for these people? Did you give them any instructions that, clearly you're allowed to go vote? Like, can you talk us through that a little?
Oh, it was hysterical. Rob, this was hysterical. This is leftist lunacy on steroids, okay? And you talk about election integrity and disenfranchising voters. You get a contact trace letter, and Wendy and I broke this story wide open. You get a contact trace letter like you said. Well, I can't leave the house. Okay, well, what's the plan? What's plan B? They're literally putting this together because of Wendy and I's reporting on this. They were sending county and borough and township and city municipal law enforcement to deliver a ballot. Okay? Cast your vote, give the ballot back, then they'll turn it in. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It's unbelievable.
Now you're putting it on law enforcement for chain of custody of an election ballot? When did that happen?
Well, here was the craziest part. They didn't even have a plan until you brought it up. If you wouldn't have brought it up, they wouldn't have even came up with that half-ass plan.
No, and what was sad is you had people reaching out to their elected officials at the local level that were getting these letters, and even the local officials, and it started to go up the food chain, they had no idea. None. And we're sitting there going, and you're talking about this guy's a threat to democracy? You guys are the living embodiment of threat to democracy every day.
And now, if you're listening, you're like, well, wait a minute, what does this mean? Ask yourself this. In Pennsylvania, but all across the country as well, who's more likely to vote in person? certainly Republicans. So you send out these letters to people that say, basically, you could all but be jailed, forcibly hospitalized against your will,
Right.
if you even leave your home. And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, but voting's in 3 days. What's the average, like, imagine a senior citizen. What are they going to do? Most of them are going to be like, well, crap, I guess I can't leave the house. I guess I'm not voting this year. Now, there were ones that maybe a small fraction of the people that got that letter actually tuned in after Todd asked the question to hear them go, oh, what you need to do is reach out to your local law enforcement. My guess is 9/10 of the people that received that letter had no clue what the remedy was. That, because you know how it is, the official notice you get's always going to be more noticed than the little correction that only a handful of people say. Oh, by the way, what you do is call local law enforcement. And it was definitely the most charitable look at it is they're so grossly incompetent that they didn't think of it. The more likely result is they knew exactly what was going on. They knew that that would decrease the turnout on election day, which is exactly what they wanted.
So go back, and how many votes was it decided by?
80,000 in the state of PA.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So who knows? Like, I haven't heard any hard numbers on how many people got those notices.
Now,
but
go back a minute to you had asked about the club, right? And the media and the cabal of the media. You would think that somebody that did that kind of reporting day in, day out during the pandemic, every media outlet in the Commonwealth would be banging my door down.
Yep.
Not one, and I know TVGM's all over the state. Not one phone call, not one text, not one email offering a job. Do you know why, Rob?
Because they didn't want to.
Because they don't want those questions asked.
Right. That's right. And then there's other questions that you did reporting on. I talk about this all the time. All of these potential lawsuits that were coming in Pennsylvania, and poll places were instructed to keep separate piles of ballots for potential challenges, such as ones where your voter registration didn't match the signature on the mail-in ballot. And I recall you investigating this where they accidentally mixed all the piles of ballots together. Can you talk a little about that?
Oh, it was a joke. Well, go back a second about the mandates getting knocked down by the federal judge in Pittsburgh. You remember that?
Yep.
And this plays into what you're talking about, the ballot case, okay? So he knocks down all of the unconstitutional orders, right? Press conference the following day or whatever it was, 2 days later. And, Governor Wolf brings the chief counsel with him. And I'm front row, middle front row. There's 3 seats at FEMA, at PEMA, and I'm middle front, okay? And I asked the chief counsel, I said, with this adversarial ruling against you in the administration, do you plan to immediately seek injunctive relief? And he smiled and grinned ear to ear. He goes, now I know you're not an attorney. And he goes, but I'm not going to give away our legal strategy, but you're not wrong.
Wow.
Rob, that's the chief counsel to the governor.
Yep.
The press conference ends by 3 o'clock that afternoon. They're in federal court with a filing for immediate injunctive relief because they want their power back.
Unbelievable.
Okay? So now to your point, the mixed ballot case or the uncured ballots case, it was unbelievable. If you have an error on this ballot, it goes in this pile. If there's an error this way, it goes in that pile. And then Book Bar is just going sideways because they changed the rules on election eve.
Yep. And that's what I'm talking about. What people don't understand is when you add, all of these things might seem little. Oh, okay, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people received this memo and didn't go to vote. Okay, with the uncured ballots, maybe that affected 5,000. How many of these little things add up before all of a sudden you start to see, even one of them's outrageous, but when you see these little things add up over and over again, it really does start to paint a picture that the narrative you're being told by the Democratic Party, every vote must count, and, we're doing this because
if
we're
that's
fans
true, why stop?
Right?
Hey, if that's true, why'd you stop counting?
Exactly. And so it's incredibly frustrating. I'm hopeful that the Republicans and Trump's team it seems to be the case that they're more ready for it this time. And I hope that's the case, particularly in states like Pennsylvania, but all around the country, that they have a team on the ground in real time that's willing to point these things out. They should have hired you, Todd, like with the stories you were breaking going into the 2020 election. But so
yeah, keep an eye on election night. You're going to see Georgia go Trump. You're going to see North Carolina go Trump. Virginia is kind of a toss-up right now. You're probably going to see Tim Kaine win the Senate. Hung Cao is the other Senate candidate on the Republican side. He's trailing right now in the polls that I've seen. The issue in Virginia right now is the population influx into Fairfax County and into Loudoun County. Of course, everybody sees Loudoun County on the news all the time. Those two counties alone cancel out a great majority of the rest of the state. That's red. Bright red.
Yeah, I'm just
because
looking,
that's a rural part of Virginia.
So I'm just looking now. Chisholm Strategies put up their last poll. They have Virginia tied. They have Trump and Kamala both getting 45%. Now that's
so that's come back, Rob. That's come back in the last 72 hours because a week ago it was lean D.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. I know you're ever the optimist. I operate better as a pessimist. But no, I think that you're right that you see the momentum all going in one direction. But that doesn't mean that you take your foot off the gas, even more excited to put your foot in the gas and just put it out of reach, as I hope all people are looking. I still don't think it'll be as easy as you do, but I love getting your takes on this. Let me just ask you this in general. What's your feelings as someone who's involved in politics and interviewed politicians? Like, how bad of a candidate do you really think Kamala Harris is? Is she as bad as it appears to someone like me?
I'm going to paraphrase what somebody said the other day. She is the living embodiment of the titular head of a machine. Okay? She's just a vessel for them to keep power. It's not there's nothing there. It's why she doesn't sit for Joe Rogan's 3-hour interview. It's why CBS had to chop up whatever they chopped up. It's why she doesn't do long-form interviews. There's nothing there. And her pick as a vice president back in the day by Joe was to check a box to appeal to a group of voters. And, I mean, that's biting them in the rear end. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It really is surreal. And for me, I don't understand why there isn't outrage amongst Democratic voters that they didn't get a say in picking her, that they were lied to by her and by the Democratic establishment and by the media.
Well, did you hear a peep out of Pennsylvania Democrat Party when they anointed Josh?
Not at all.
I said it when he got picked for their primary. And I said, he doesn't want the job. He's never wanted the job. He wants the big job.
Right. And he's going to run for governor again. And like you said, one of the arguments that the Republicans should make against him is he doesn't want this job. This is merely a stepping stone. He don't care about being governor of Pennsylvania. He merely cares about using this to enhance his political fortunes to eventually run for president.
And that's Rob, they're never going to hire me as a consultant. That's the campaign.
Yep.
He's not who he said he is. When it mattered about Black Lives Matter, and I got a kid that'll come forward and say, he doesn't care about me at all, because my white teammate indecently sexually assaulted me. When it came up to Josh's desk, it didn't matter. Oh, and by the way, I didn't get picked for VP because of this, that, and the other. No, Josh, you didn't get picked because you're not who you claim you are.
I will say, if he does run for president, he's picked for 2028. I cannot wait to talk to you on a nightly basis. You're going to be so stoked as someone who's
listen, man. Yeah, you might not be able to book me because I'm telling you, whoever the Republican candidate is in that cycle running against him, I've already offered it out there. I will open the show better than Tony Hinchcliffe. I will not absolutely give you any material other than absolute facts about Josh Shapiro and why he is not who he claims to be.
Well, I mean, it's true. I can verify you're capable of doing it. I do. I think you'll be the hot ticket.
Hell, play the tape. Listen, play the video. Play the video of him standing in front of sex abuse survivors. Just let him talk.
Yep. No, I totally agree. So we'll let you out of here on this. Do you think, like, I know that there's, like, you're predicting that Trump's going to do very good in these states. Do you think that there's a chance that we're going to have the results of the election done on election night? That people will go to bed Tuesday night, Wednesday in the AM, and we're going to have a definitive answer?
Let me give you the full circle moment for a guy that has absolutely been destroyed over the last 4 years. Okay? What turned everybody 4 years ago against Brett Baer and Fox News?
The calling Arizona early?
When they called Arizona early.
Yeah.
Guess what they're going to do to clinch it in 2024?
Really? You think they're going to call it early? And
They're going to call Arizona early for Trump to end it.
That would be a little schadenfreude, wouldn't it?
I'm telling you, not that I've seen the script, but boy, wouldn't that be something?
It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. Do you think
By the same guy?
Do you think Trump wins the popular vote?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any voter enthusiasm for her at all. None.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I still, deep down, I'm like, they're not going to let this guy win. But certainly, if you're reading the tea leaves when it comes to early voting numbers, when it comes to enthusiasm numbers, things look pretty bleak for her team right now. And it's almost...
It doesn't matter, Rob. It doesn't matter what the numbers are. It doesn't matter what the vote count is Tuesday night. He can win. He can win. Declare the winner. They're going to do everything they can to decertify it.
Yep.
They're going to do everything they can to put him in jail in 2 weeks after the election so that he never gets a chance to take the oath. They said this. This isn't Todd and Rob talking about it on a 24-hour show going into Tuesday. They said this on the record.
Yeah. No, I know. I saw Raskin talking about it just the other day. Raskin was asked on Bill Maher yesterday, and he was asked the question they always ask Trump, will you certify the election? He's like, well, if it's fair. Isn't that the same shit they criticized Trump for saying? See, Trump has to say no matter what.
That sounds a little January 6th to me, doesn't it, Liz Cheney? That sounds a little January 6th. Oh, and I got to tell you, I know you got to go, but her calling out George W. Bush to endorse Kamala, are you kidding me?
Getting the band back together.
Now you know what they're saying behind closed doors. Now she's saying it out loud.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's funny to see that they're getting the band back together. If I would have told my friends in college 20 years ago that thought I was this humorous, libertarian-esque Ron Paul guy that was against the Iraq War and was marching with my left-wing friends that were anti-war, if I told them 20 years from now you're going to be the Cheney's biggest fan, they'd have said I was nuts. And yet here we are. Here we are. Yay, Liz Cheney. Yay, Dick Cheney. Yay, George Bush. It is absolutely hilarious to see how it's come down to this.
Rob, if you'd have told me back in the days of our pandemic shows that Elon Musk, Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, this whole coalition that he's put together.
Ron Paul now?
Ron Paul, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, unions.
Yep.
I mean, they'd have called us crazy.
Yep.
And here we are on a Saturday night going into a Tuesday election day where he literally has brought all of these people together, and yet these jackwagon media people and his opponents are sitting there going, he's a great divider. He's a great divider. Are you kidding me?
I know. They always accuse you of what they do. Todd, thank you so much for calling in, man. I always appreciate it. Next time we'll get you on video, but I know you're a very busy guy. Go enjoy your Ohio State victory, and then hopefully Tuesday you can celebrate another victory.
You got it, brother. Stay well.
All right. Take it easy, man. Thank you again. All right. Now, that should fix my audio issues, I'm hoping. I don't know what it was. Someone said that it has to do with compression issues using Google Voice. So I do apologize for the audio issues I was having there. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Should just be a moment. All right. Find an HDMI cable. I'm 99% sure I brought it. She should check the car. But I'll be in the doghouse tomorrow. If my wife's watching, I really apologize. Let's get super chats. If I missed any, let's do that. You guys are the best. Super chats we got. My goodness. Flim Talk for $20 says, I was really leaning towards Kamala and her silver tongue, but Rob has convinced me to vote Trump. Finally! Worked for someone. John Rock, $2. Please share this stream everywhere. Hit everybody hit thumbs up. Thank you so much. Intel Wild for $5 says, great stream, Rob. How many hours are you in? I am in, I started at 7:30, so that would put me at 11 and a half hours roughly right now. Crisco for $10 says, but what about Ukraine? Think of Ukraine. Yes, absolutely. We must always. And Achilles gives 10 memberships to the channel. Thank you so much. You thought I quit. Never. In it for the long haul, baby. So I don't have as much optimism as Todd Bartlett, but Todd is a great guy, and I love to hear him. I am really going 24 hours. I'll be here until 8 a.m. It's actually 25 and a half hours, not 24 hours, because I started at 7:30, and it's daylight savings time tonight, so you have to roll your clock back. So it won't be a 24-hour stream. It'll be 25 and a half hours. For those that are wondering, the first part of the stream, the first 9 hours or so, we ended and restarted, but for two reasons. One, you have to restart on YouTube because you can only have up to 24 hours on one consecutive live stream. So I had to restart at some point. And second, we got to clean up just a little language. So we'll get that video up there edited in a day or two with that language taken out. No problem, easy peasy. So it's going to be there. And maybe we'll even clip it up into little sections. So each guest maybe will have their own section, so it'll be easier to consume that way. But I appreciate all of you. I think the stream's going fantastically. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I still feel energized. We're basically hitting close to halfway, close to 12 hours, even though it's going to be 25 and a half hours. So we're getting there. We're getting towards, going that direction. And why am I doing 24 hours? Because I feel like it. Because every election year, I do 24-hour stream to try to get out the vote for the people that I think deserve that vote to steer our direction in the right country. And so, yeah. Is this where we gain an hour or lose an hour? We lose and we roll back. So we gain. I guess we gain an hour. So yeah, it'll be 25. 25. So I think we're doing good. Thanks to everyone that's donated so far. Now I had a goal of $500 set for tonight's stream. My guess is we're probably close to $150. So right now, not on pace to hit that goal of 500, but that's okay. You set a goal for a reason. We're still reaching towards it. And of course, the other goal I have is that we want to get 200 people to sign on that they confirm that they will or have already vote for Donald Trump and Republicans down ticket. So let's start with that right now. Let's put that poll up, and hopefully that poll will remain all evening. I don't know if I'm hoping that's how it works. I've never tried to have a poll up that long. So here's the thing. Oh, for crying out. Sorry. Someone made fun of me earlier. They're like, do you have to look at the keyboard when you type? I do. I'm that bad. Why am I spelling so poorly? We're looking for 200 people. It would be nice. Let's start the poll. Now, don't lie. If you're not going to vote for Trump or you're not going to vote, don't piss on my leg. So Andrew Wilson's supposed to be coming at 11 p.m. Eastern. Sometime between 9:30 and 11, Alex Stein's supposed to come on. So someone donated 150 subs. Did I miss that? I saw 50 subs. So Achilles gifted 10 subs. Toucan Max, I saw gifted 50 subs. I believe each sub is $2 or $3. But we'll get there. So Pico Pluto, thanks for the $20. Says weirdo. Certainly true. Definitely true. Alex Stein 99. We're trying to get Primetime 99 Alex Stein on. Always on the grind, right? All right, who's our next guest? At 8 p.m. we have Scott Metger. So we have the time of 7, so that gives us an hour. Hopefully the intrepid Carlos Saldivia, who knows Scott, will be on before then. Emily A., thanks for the super chat, $2. I'm sorry for making fun of your typing. It's okay. I deserve it. Of the many things there are to make fun of me for, that's one of them. So no problem. I have it coming. I really understand that. What a good night, though. We're having a good time. Oh, Jesse. All right, man. If you want to call into Discord, you got 5 minutes, man. We'll give you 5 minutes. You got the Discord link. I hope you're not drinking. We're not trying to have one of those streams. We already had to stop the stream once for bad language. So let's keep our terms of service. But sure, man. If you insist, you can call in. There's the link. No, it's all right. If you have something to say that you think will further the stream, that's cool. Discord link's there. Feel free to call in real quick. As a paleo-libertarian, you'll be voting for Orange Guy. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And we talked earlier about why people that are progressive, Green Party, etc., third party in that sense, should vote for the party of opposition at this point. Not just Trump, but a Trump ticket that includes a bunch of people that are outside sort of the establishment orthodoxy, including people like RFK, Elon Musk, Ron Paul, Tulsi Gabbard. Right now, Kamala Harris's campaign is running ads. I know they're running heavily in Michigan. I've seen them here in Pennsylvania. That's calling Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, a puppet of Vladimir Putin. If you think it will end with Trump, oh, well, Trump's a uniquely bad guy, so they attacked him as being a puppet of Putin, and they attacked him as being a Nazi, and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to end with him. It's not. Just let me know if you're calling in, Jesse, because I'll move on if you're not. Just let me know. You wrote in DeSantis and Thomas Massey. Nothing against Trump. It's just that I'm in Utah. My vote doesn't matter in our electoral. Now, I think that's the wrong attitude to have, respectfully. I think that the idea, first off, the popular vote matters. You can see just how much that was used as a cudgel to go after Trump in the first place with that. Secondly, if your vote doesn't matter, then the vote for DeSantis or Massey, even though those are two people I would have preferred to Trump, wouldn't be able to matter. Was I invited to the Jubilee conversation with Destiny? I was not. I knew nothing of it. We haven't talked about Peanut yet. That was going to be some late night conversations. So, you need to think of a topic. I thought you already had something you wanted to talk about. All right, man. Jill Stein, suspicious, calling everyone but Putin and Assad world criminals. I mean, I'm so tired of this sort of argumentation. I don't know, Jill Stein. Hypothetically, she, like you, Taylor M., like me, like pretty much everyone could hypothetically be in bed with Vladimir Putin. But I'm so tired of this, sin of omission. Oh, well, she didn't say the right thing and she did this, whatever. Handyman Jack, super chat, thanks so much for $10. Take my money, Rob, and keep the joy going. Your big ball of love and savageness. I try. Thank you so much. District 9 sport. Hey, man, I'm trying to do a politics stream. I'm not really trying to talk about District 9's sports. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep the stream moving, Jesse. But I do thank you, man. I thank you for offering to call in. I don't think the popular vote matters. Bush won it in 2004, and the left still demonized it. They'll move the goalposts and do the same with Trump if he wins. I disagree. Jesse, I'm not trying to have a disagreement either. The goal of the stream is sort of to push forth the votes for Republicans and Trump in this election in 2024. Happily talk to you tomorrow, any other day, about any topic involving sports or anything else that you want to disagree about. But trying to keep a central theme here of what the channel's supposed to be doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on with the show. But thanks, man, for offering to call in. So anyways, we got some more exciting guests coming up. I think it's going to be a great show. We're hitting the halfway mark. What are we going to talk about here now? Grid says you could jump on at some point if you want. Yeah, man, if you want to jump on at some point, that would be fine. Have I heard, someone says, let me get some of these questions. Have we heard her interview with Mehdi Hassan, your favorite? Jill Steins, I haven't. Anonymous Coward, did you watch Destiny on Alex O'Connor? He said if the right offered something to immigrants more than the left, they would win elections. How's being more like Dems not a race to the bottom? Well, he doesn't give a shit about that. That's his goal. Of course, he wants the right. He would prefer two left-wing establishment parties. That's what he would want. He was shit on there because he denigrates anyone who disagrees with them as stupid or as, he needs to talk down to them, having low IQ, etc. It's not how it's played out when I've debated him. So, let me check my schedule here real quick. Who we have coming up? Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. All right. I'm going to be talking to Fabian Liberty Wednesday after the election at 7 p.m. Eastern on his show, so I think that'll be fun. Mentis. I don't know if I know who Mentis is. So let me talk to the libertarians for a minute and why I think they should prefer to vote for a ticket of Donald Trump. First off, need I say more than if you're a libertarian, you're probably a fan like I am of Ron Paul. And we literally have for the best chance that we've ever had since Ron Paul decided he was running in 2008, for Ron Paul to actually have serious input in an executive branch. I mean, that's incredible. He took Elon Musk up on his offer. Elon Musk has promised to sort of lead a task force on government efficiency that would get rid of a lot of fraud and waste that's being done in the government. Yes, as a full-fledged libertarian, you're not going to get what you want. You have zero chance of winning those positions at this point in time. But the best you could hope for is a government that, one, breaks through sort of that establishment hegemony over the control of our institutions, and secondly, that actually does a good bit to roll back the size of the government. They're not going to roll it back to zero, but they will roll it back in a way that I think will be considerable. What's up, wife? You say, hey, I see you there. Yeah, I saw Vance mentioned he was coming along more to Ron Paul in the sort of Joe Rogan interview where he said, with his stance on the Fed. So, yeah, very interesting, So I think as libertarians, you should be excited to work for that. I don't need anything. Thanks, wife. I appreciate it. If you bring up a Celsius later or two, I'll probably need those for later in the night, but I don't need it now. So, yeah, Fabian's cool. Casimir too. No, Fabian is not coming on today, so I'm gonna do a show with him Wednesday, but he is not coming on today. He had some prior commitments. He would have, but he just had some prior commitments. Casimir came on, was having some audio issues, and said that he would come back later. What do we got here? I love this. I put out a video where, I put it on X. Actually, the reason I created it's on YouTube right now, but the reason I created it was the reasons to vote for Trump. And it's a lot of things that I'm talking about here. I put it on Facebook sort of to illustrate to the people that I know, and then offered, by the way, I'll help pick you up and drive you to the polls if you need a ride to the poll, etc. But I also put that up on YouTube and on X because I got a little bit of sort of engagement with bigger left-wing streamers, and they certainly have more rabid audience than me and bigger audience than me. Oftentimes what will happen is I'll put a video up or something like that, and it'll get ratioed to shit because every comment will just be like, you're garbage, this sucks, you're fat, you're a moron, blah, 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 things like that. One of the things that happened was you had people, it was Ponder Pondering Politics. Pondering, who I've had decent interactions with in the past, went on Pisco's show after we had Joe Biden call Trump supporters garbage, and him and Econoboy and Pisco argued just what percentage of Trump supporters are garbage. It's certainly immoral to vote for Trump, says Pondering. That's certainly immoral. The people that are doing that are moral. Maybe I don't hate them because I have family members that do it, but it's certainly immoral or they're stupid. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm not going to engage in someone that thinks that large swaths of people that vote for the politician that I'm going to vote for are unethical. In fact, the mere act of voting for him is unethical, and that we're some form of the words garbage to immoral, etc. So I'm not going to answer you. Stu K for $2 says, vote Trump to avenge Peanut. Absolutely. Absolutely. For Peanut. But then people were like, yes, there is a general chat section on the Discord. Sometimes even for me it disappears, but there is a general chat section. It is under the community. And if you click there, you'll see there is a section that says general. So you can go ahead and check that out. In fact, I could show you where that is. Maybe. You can see right there, the general section. So, Yamigo wants to come on for a few minutes. Sure, why not? Let me get my headset. What's up, Yamigo? What's happening?
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
I can. What's happening?
Hello. Hold on. I have you on the YouTube, so let me cut you off on that.
Okay.
And I'm at work, so I won't run outside. So okay. Hey there, Rob. How are you doing, man?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you want me to get to the topic first, or do you want me to metaphorically fillet you first? Because I do have a topic for you.
Well, as much as metaphorical fallations.
Don't worry, I'll be quick in just a couple seconds.
Okay, go for it. Thanks.
Well, you've really been. I'm really glad to have come across your channel. It's really nice to hear from you. I want to say it's a little cathartic, because it's nice to have somebody who's not just a supporter like I am, but at the same time is willing to engage in certain arguments, debate anyone, anywhere, anytime, and you're really smart and on it. And I always make the joke that we really need a Rob GPT, because guys like me who aren't good at debating can pull up your little AI and you can give us the arguments for us. But that's just a joke. Yeah, man.
I'll have to do something like that, like just some catchphrases, get it out there, and then you can just bam, be like a soundboard, just like shitty commie, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't say stuff like that often, but it would be fun. But thank you, man. It means a lot. I will say, in general, I am a person, just to give you a little insight into me, most of the people that I respect most in life are people that are blue-collar workers. Some of them didn't even graduate high school. Some of them, though, still are some of the smartest people that I've ever met. It's just absolutely true. There's different forms of intelligence. And I've always tried to have humility and understand that I'm not really better than anyone else. There's certain things that I'm better at. There's certain things that most people are better than me. And I've really tried to live my life that way. And I'm not comfortable at talking myself up or hearing other people praise me that often. But it really is humbling. I'm talking right now to roughly 200 people on a live stream. That's unheard of when I was growing up, that I would be able to get on some sort of platform.
Congratulations,
and talk to thank you, man. I means a lot, for real. So, it's nice to hear from people that appreciate what I do. And, it really is. It's not something I'm comfortable talking about, if I'm completely honest. I talk about just about everything, but bragging myself up is not something that I really like to do that much. But I do really appreciate when people like you and other people say kind things about me in the show. And I'm glad that sort of people find entertainment and informational value out of it and enjoy it. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And don't worry, I know that you are kind of a humble fellow, so I don't want to give you too much. I will say one kind of criticism is that maybe you do mention, and this is just me, maybe you do mention Destiny's name a little too often. You know what I mean? Like maybe he pops up in the stream, but it makes total sense, because Destiny is a big. The way I see it is, if you know a lot of people, you have a lot of resources. Imagine that game, that Amigo game where like you're that circle and you have to go and eat other circles. You're basically that, except instead of having to eat other circles, you're able to gravitate other circles to you so you can use their resources. So as a result, you're kind of a destiny orbiter, but that's perfectly fine because, you know, that's a perfect position to be in. And, you know, you can reach a lot of people that's, you know, he's sort of thrown off because of his, what the thing that he says. And I can't kind of blame him because, like, I'm going to be honest, I've been on the fence for Trump for a while, ever since 2020, not just because of the fake electors thing, but just because, like, throughout the whole events of everything that was going on after the election day, I kind of, you know, started slipping, kind of got a little disinterested. Then January 6th happened, and then I'm like, goddamn, like a bunch of people are acting a fool. Now, on one hand, I have multiple feelings about that because on one hand, you're, you know, the election wasn't necessarily stolen, but it was rigged against you. They allowed for, you know, the mail-in ballot thing was huge, and then they started having people, you know, pull in ballots for other people. So a huge swath of the population that would never vote and never has started voting. And of course, the energy against Trump was tremendous. And it's a bit of a pain, but at the same time, I understand it. And on the other hand of January 6th, my countrymen went out and they were going to act a fool because you know, our system was kind of messed up. I forget the name of the gentleman you just had on, but the fellow who was going off on Ben Shapiro and all that. Mm-hmm. That's tremendous. I can only imagine what else was going on. You know what I mean? And like, I live here in Georgia. We're one of the.
By the way, just to correct something, he was going off on Josh Shapiro. Ben Shapiro.
I'm sorry.
Just so people don't get confused, if you heard him say Shapiro, he doesn't mean the Daily Wire. He's talking about the governor of Pennsylvania. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Thank you very much. Josh Shapiro. Thank you.
Yep.
And so like I was like I was one of the people who was when you were asked that, hey, do you think that Tim Walz won the debate? I don't think he won. But I was the guy who said, you know, Tim Walz won my heart because I didn't watch the debate, but I listened to it. And so when I'm listening to that, I don't see all the nerve in it.
I lost your audio there for a second.
Yeah, sorry, somebody was blasting by. But yeah, you know, I was watching the vice presidential debate, and I can see Tim Walz as like a pretty okay vice presidential candidate because, you know, he had the Mayo Clinic in his state. And you know, healthcare is pretty important to them. So it made me kind of understand how Tim Walz was, you know, not necessarily a bad candidate. Mm-hmm. But this whole situation just kind of has me a little upset simply because, like, I see the negatives against Trump, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you're constantly reminded that nobody cares for his positives. Any reason that people have for voting for Trump, a lot of people ignore. But at the exact same time, you know what I mean? We have more understanding for people now than ever, you know? I'm seeing a lot of people of African-American descent, which I am, talking about voting for Trump. I've seen many Trump shirts. I haven't seen too many Joe Biden shirts, you know? When you walk around, you see a lot of Harris signs, but nowhere near as much as I would see if I went to like one of the richer parts of the world. So let me just tell you this quick story. I'm driving around, and I'm deciding, you know, I'm just going to take a drive. I don't know exactly where I'm going. And I end up in, like, North Atlanta. North Atlanta is kind of high up there. It's not necessarily, like, rich, but it's definitely, like, upper middle class. Like, every house you look at is completely different from the ones before it. And as I'm driving around, I've never seen such a huge assortment of, like, vote blue signs in my life. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I've never seen so many vote signs in my life ever. And if this tells me anything, is that, there are more houses without signs than there were signs for Republican. But I promise you, if you went down like a neighborhood street, almost every house would have a sign in front of it, and that's not heard of. And it just shows me that the Democratic Party is definitely the party of the rich, and it makes you wonder how long that's been the case. One reason that I voted for Trump was because if you live in the African American community, I can't tell you how many people of my own, you know, bloodline, my own skin color, mm-hmm. will look me in the face and say, this country does not love you. Now, it makes sense when you think about, you know, all the historical past, you know what I mean? All the, if you had like a rich white guy and he wanted something, he would bend the laws in order to get it, you know what I mean? But that's just, you know, greed period, you know? Sure. There are people who will completely, who blame a system or whatever. Maybe that's true, it probably is, but guess what? Now the whole world is different. Now, if I want something, then there's not too much to stop me from getting it, unless I accept, you know, knowledge and resources and people. You know what I mean? So one of the reasons I voted for Trump was because I literally had no idea what a Republican was until 2016. Everybody just made fun of him. Everybody just made fun of like the whole ideas, and like it took me until like 2013 when a teacher gave us a book. Like, here, check out one of the books, write an essay, and get you some free money. I didn't finish the book, so I couldn't write the essay, but I loved the book. It was Atlas Shrugs, and it's a little silly, and I don't like go into Ayn Rand's kind of philosophy. While I understand why you would have that kind of idea, but the whole idea of at least that book was that the people who do not have, they expect the people who are like the Donald Trumps and the billionaires and Elon Musk to give away everything and to work full force to give to those who do not have that level of ambition.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little sucky, but the whole thing that it taught me was like, yo, I have some conservative values. I actually believe highly in the idea of if I don't work, then I don't deserve it.
Well,
and
let me jump in here real quick. So just a quick question. When you say you voted for Trump, you mean you voted him in 2016? Are you planning or have you already voted for him?
16, 20. I haven't voted for him yet, but I want to.
Okay,
so I will.
Excellent. Okay, so just trying to get a baseline. Yeah, now obviously, here's the thing. There is certainly subjective experiences that all of us have based on our own personal characteristics. So there are experiences, for example, that men experience that might not seem normal or not be as easily understandable for women. And the same is true when it comes to ethnicity and skin color. And so I understand that there are subjective things that occur to people of color that maybe don't experience the world in exact the same way as I do. But one of the things I'll say, and I'm only speaking on averages here, so I understand the like big brain.
No, go ahead.
One of the things you'll hear often is when you start to talk about like groups of people is, but I know someone that doesn't relate to. Of course, at the specific level, if we're just talking about in general, there'll be specific examples that go counter this. But I think in general that the African-American population probably on average is more conservative than the white population. The sort of, particularly the people that would be politically active, you know, some of the people that I know in the black community are staunch Christians, are staunchly for family values, strong family ethics, extended family, in ways that seems a little more rare than a lot of the white people that I know. And I think that this has always been a big secret that the Democratic Party's tried to keep. That's why they had to rely on the narrative that sort of any idea that comes through the ideas that you're talking about, not just through Republicans, but the ideas of like, you know, hard work and, you know, achievement and, you know, those sorts of things and not being entitled to other people giving you stuff. I think it's hidden because, and instead we just hear the narrative of, no, your opponents are racist, they hate you. But if you look at things like, you know, one of the clearest examples of this is back when, I always forget of it, Prop 19, I think it was called, Prop something in California, that was the first sort of ballot initiative in any of the states to legalize gay marriage. It was shocking that it didn't pass. And the reason was something like 90-something% of black people voted against it. And the Democrats were shocked. But the truth is, and by the way, I'm for gay marriage, so I'm not making an opinion on whether or not that's good. But what I'm saying is how out of touch the conventional wisdom was, where it's like, well, black people are progressive. They vote Democrat. They have progressive values. That's not true. They might vote Democrat because they've been made certain promises and they've been told that the other side doesn't care about them and hates them and that it's all about control and things like that. But when you look at values outside of politics, there is an awful lot of conservative values. The same is true of the Hispanic community. A lot of the Hispanic community, particularly people that are coming from places like Mexico,
really Catholic.
Very Catholic, very like, you know, the idea of machismo, of masculine values and stuff. It's rampant much more throughout the Hispanic community than you see in sort of traditional white communities. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think that you're starting to see people. By no means does this mean that all of a sudden, you know, black people are going to, in droves, 80% voting for Republican. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I think that there's a lot of black people that are sort of looking at it in this sort of calculus of like, well, what are the values that people are really pushing for? You know, personal proclivities of Donald Trump aside, or any individual candidate on either side, what is represented by sort of the political parties that we have? And it does seem to me that even though there are flaws with the Republican Party, which I think there are many, and I'll criticize them when I see fit, I think that one of the overarching messages of the Democratic